Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer.
Castile Soap, Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild. Aquadam.net. Give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, having to deal with the insurance company, not to mention the memories that are lost that you can never replace. To those who live in flood-prone and hurricane-prone areas, which is just around the corner, prepare now. Hurricane season is right around the corner. Visit Aquadam.net to see how they can help you prepare to avoid flood damage this season and every season thereafter. An Aquadam can be another tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. A cofferdam, using water to control water, that can protect your home, your business, your church, your neighborhood, like a dam, but without the beavers. Give Aquadam a call at 707-764-2119, 707-764-2119, or look them up online at aquadam.net. They're also on Facebook at Aquadam Inc., or call or email them today. They can help you out. Give them a call. Tell them Opperman Report sent you. Opperman Report. That's 10% off the price to anyone who mentions the Opperman Report.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
And go. Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. You can get a hold of me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting through my website, emailrevealer.com. As always, we have our members section at OppermanReport.com with exclusive content, exclusive shows, court documents, all kind of stuff that you can't get anywhere else at OppermanReport.com. Every Thursday night, I started a new project. Every Thursday night, 7 p.m., GetVocal.com. I do a live video podcast, okay? So help me out there, guys. I need you to go to GetVocal.com, VOKL, GetVocal.com, and sign up there, follow me, become a member. It's totally free. And as always, our archives are free at Spreaker.com. Our guest today, okay, this guy is fascinating, and he's written this great book. The book is called Gone at Midnight, The Mysterious Death of Elisa Lam. And our guest is Jake Anderson. Now, this is that story of that woman in the elevator that was acting odd in the elevator, and then they found her in the water tower naked, which is a really hard water tower to get into. So Mr. Jake Anderson has been investigating this and has spent a lot of time looking into this case. Mr. Anderson, are you there?
I am, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, tell us about yourself first before we get into this fascinating story. Who is Jake Anderson?
Well, I consider myself, a writer first and foremost, journalist. I do some activism work, and I would consider myself, just kind of an explorer of ideas. And I found in this case a kind of a nexus of a bunch of different things I was interested in. And I think of myself as kind of just an open-minded, independent journalist.
Excellent. So tell us about Gone at Midnight and this woman, Elisa Lam. Who was Elisa Lam?
So Elisa was a very interesting person. I didn't know her personally. I should make that clear. But what I did is I feel like I did know her because I read her blog entries online, and when I got interested in the case, like many people, I was drawn into the case from that, creepy surveillance video. And I just kind of kept by degrees digging a little bit deeper, and I would take a break from it, and then I would dig a little bit further. And what drew me into the case was really her. And I was fascinated by her documenting her struggles with mental illness online. This was someone who, really struggled with depression and bipolar disorder. And I empathize with that because some of those things run in my family, and I've had a lot of friends who've struggled with it. And, frankly, most people know someone who struggles with that. Mental illness is, very kind of an epidemic. And so I was kind of interested in how this case kind of encapsulated that in that, as well as, you have someone who's very troubled, and then she ends up going to just about the worst possible place she could have gone to, this hotel with just this horrific history. And so it was just this weird, almost Shakespearean confluence of events that really drew me into it. And I was interested in her. I was not expecting to get involved in the case in terms of a criminal investigation or even any kind of parapsychology. I was just kind of interested in the psychological aspect and the sociological aspects of the case. The fact that, everyone would see this case, and it was like a Rorschach test. Everyone who saw it would see something else or get obsessed with some different aspect of it. And sure enough, I got obsessed with it too. And part of it was just, her as a person. She is very compelling, and it's very, very tragic that she didn't get to kind of come out of this and look back on it,
Now, was she someone who had a support system? Like, was she getting a treatment, the medication, the therapy?
So that's a good question. Yeah, she was getting therapy. Based on her comments in her blog, it doesn't seem like she respected her therapist very much, and it doesn't seem like she was getting really good oversight as far as how the meds were working. She was prescribed meds. She was taking about 4 or 5 meds, and the bipolar is just notoriously very difficult to treat. It's very hard to find a equilibrium of medicines for someone. And as far as her support system, she did have a loving family. It does seem like she got support from her sister and her parents, financial support from her parents. Her friend network, I think she suffered from what a lot of people with mental illness suffer from, which is I don't think her friends really understood her very much, and I think they were kind of disturbed and frightened by her mood fluctuations. So she writes pretty extensively about being disappointed by her friends and whatnot. And not to throw her friends under the bus, it's a very difficult situation. But so it was a mixed answer there as far as her support structure.
How about, did she have private medical insurance, or was this kind of like a state Medicaid type thing? Do you know?
So I don't know if she had private insurance. What she did speak about, she was very disgruntled by the Canadian healthcare system, and she basically describes it as a triage system where you can only get help for mental illness if you've actually tried suicide. She says that pretty expressly, that they won't consider me suicidal unless I've actually attempted suicide. And so it's a pretty widespread problem across the world of treating mental illness.
Yeah, it really is. If we just had a more comprehensive medical care for people, health care, we would have avoided so many problems.
Absolutely.
Crime would go down. Everything would just. It's just a horrible situation. The economy would be better. The biggest cause of bankruptcy is medical expenses. 70% of bankruptcies are because of medical bills.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's good for the economy. Now, how did she wind up in this seedy hotel? It's in California, right?
Right, yeah, the Cecil Hotel, and I'll go into the history of that at some point. But yeah, she had been planning what she called her West Coast tour. And this was kind of an attempt by her, she wanted to travel, as most people do. And she was, young, she was 21, and she was ready to get out and do something. And she decided she was going to travel alone, which was probably misguided. But I don't know, a lot of people travel alone, and you don't expect something this horrific to happen. And but she did travel alone, and she had a whole itinerary set up. and her first stop was in San Diego, and then she was going to go up through LA all the way to Santa Cruz and whatnot. And but she for reasons we don't fully know, she booked a room at the Cecil Hotel. My guess is that she was looking for the most modestly priced hotel in LA, and a lot of people who don't live in LA or haven't lived in LA don't know the layout of the city well, so they look at the downtown area as a kind of middle ground where you can reach a lot of spots more easily. When really the downtown probably wasn't the best spot for her to be in, and particularly the Cecil Hotel, which is kind of right down there in the Skid Row area. Not a good place for anyone, much less a young woman with mental illness, to be staying alone. So that's how she ended up there. And we don't know the full story on how she got these roommates. She got these temporary roommates that lived with her there, and eventually asked the hotel to have Elisa moved out of the room because she was acting strange. We don't know the story on that because these women who supposedly stayed with her have never been identified, and we don't even really know if they were interviewed by the police. You have to assume they were, but we don't know anything more about it than that, and what the management says, which is that her roommates were complaining about her behavior and moved her to a different room on that 5th floor.
How long was she staying at that hotel?
It was about I think it was about a 5-day stay. I think it was maybe 3 or 4. I don't know. I'm a little fuzzy on the numbers. I've taken a break from the case for a little bit, but it's in that number, about 3 or 4 days. And it was I think it was on the 3rd or 4th night she was staying there that this went down. And there's just really not a lot of information from her. She's a very prolific blogger and social media poster, but when for the duration of the time she's in the Cecil Hotel, there's very little autobiographical information on what she's doing. She's still posting on Tumblr, but she didn't have good internet access there, so she wasn't up to her normal Tumblr shenanigans. And as a result, we just don't really know much about what she was doing while she was there, which is unfortunate.
So we don't know how she met these roommates, and we don't know if these roommates have ever been interviewed. We don't have any written statements about the taken from these roommates, right?
Oh, no. We know virtually nothing about the police investigation. The LAPD just absolutely refuses to discuss any aspect of the case whatsoever.
Okay, and what about text messages? Did she have a cell phone with text messages on it?
We don't know that either. We do know that she lost a cell phone when she was in San Diego. We know that because she wrote about it on Tumblr. Then we know that a friend of hers, probably in San Diego, let her borrow a different phone. We don't know what happened to that phone, whether it was recovered or what information was on it. That's something else that I'm sure the police know, but I don't know. Given the robustness of their investigation, it wouldn't surprise me if they just didn't even finish that line of inquiry or not. But we don't. Text messages are usually the first thing that I would imagine investigators look at with a missing person case, but we don't really know if anything was found on that.
Did she have any other contacts in that hotel or in that neighborhood that did speak to the police or spoke to you?
Yeah, there was from the neighborhood. Well, she went to the eerily named Last Bookstore in downtown LA. And she was buying some books for her family. And the manager of that hotel, Katie Orphan, she went on record saying that Elisa was there and she bought some books and that she was a very nice person and that she didn't really report anything unnatural. Now I turned up another person who talked to her, ironically enough, at the same bookstore, same place, a different perspective. And this man had a different perception. He saw what he saw was a very troubled woman who was very erratic, acting very strange, talking very loudly and interrupting, and just didn't seem to be. Basically, he described what was probably the start of a hypomanic episode. And so he said basically he felt that she was a danger to herself. As we know, women who suffer mental illness are far more likely to be targeted by sexual predators. And so that's the feeling he was getting. And he said a friend told him he should tell the police that story when Elisa turned up missing.